Hello. Hi everybody, it's Kylie. I'm back. Today I wanted to have a chat about why some people win where other people's fail. And it's just something that I was thinking about today, and I thought I'd share my experience with this and my thoughts on this, and maybe it might turn on a light bulb for you to help you to tune into your natural success ability, your natural courage and your natural drive. Okay, so often we are, when we set a goal, or we are trying to set an intention, or trying to grow our business, or to try to provide greater security for ourselves and our family, we encounter all of our fears. We encounter a wall of fears about why it's not going to work, about how we're going to end up destitute, about if we don't work really, really hard, we're going to be out in our ear, that, it's just like we need to, there's a shortage, there's a scarcity in clients, resources, opportunities, money, we were like, go, hey, that's a good idea. And then instantly we create all of the catastrophes that could go wrong. And this is our ego's way of keeping us safe and making sure that nothing blindsides us, catches us off guard, and also, so that we don't get too big for our boots, that we don't change too much, because people don't like change. So if we're too successful, then there might be people that won't like it, right? Or people might get jealous of us, or people might say nasty things or make up stories about us because all of a sudden we are changing the status quo. But what I was thinking about, and the answer to that question, like why do some people succeed where others fail, there's a lot of answers to that, okay? And that's why I said part one, because I think that this is something I think about a lot, and I certainly see lots of different facets with working with my clients about why what might be holding them back from aligning and flowing with their natural success, their natural drive, and the divine design for their life and their business. So I was thinking, about a common experience that we all have, and as of next week, our Facebook feeds will be flooded with pictures from it, about going to school. My little boy is starting prep next year. Well, no, not next year, it's this year. He's starting prep next week. My little boy is starting prep next week. And in school, there's a spectrum of performance, and there's a wide variety of people's experience of going through school. And so, everybody has the same teachings, as in, like, you imagine all the kids, say 20 kids in a classroom, and all 20 kids are hearing the same words coming out of the teacher's mouth. And yet all 20 kids will get will have very different results, and will interpret those words and interpret the directions in very different ways, and will create different outcomes based on the instructions of what they've heard from their teacher. And so, that's interesting, right? So 30 kids, so let's say 20 kids, 20 different outcomes from a simple set of instructions. And so when we look at our businesses, and we might be looking at other people who are doing exactly the same thing, technically, there's no such thing as exactly, but basically, I certainly saw this with working with different business coaches, following instructions from programs that I've invested into, trusting the process. So many business coaches will say, trust the process. Yet, even all the people who do trust the process, there's still a massive variety in the outcomes for that process and for the results that the people who have trusted that process will get. So, my response from that is that actually we need to align with our own process. And so trusting the process that someone is giving to us, for me, in my experience, and the way that I've seen what I've seen happen in lots of different programs and coaches that I've worked with, I think there's a better way to do it than that, than trust somebody else's process. I think it's actually better to trust our own process. But we need to know how to align with our process, and we need to know how to understand and work with. And, it's like our processes are like Rubik's Cubes, and Rubik's Cubes, I've never actually been able to get one to completion. Like, I have never. I think the one time that I did that, I pulled it apart. So do not trust me with your Rubik's Cube, but you can trust me in terms of self-awareness and unlocking yourself from limiting beliefs. So how do limiting beliefs get there? Well, let's have a little chat about that, because the schoolroom situation is actually responsible for a lot of our processes and our limitations. That one time that we put our hand up to contribute an answer and we got shamed for saying something stupid, or that we answered a completely different question than what the teacher had asked, but we answered what we thought the teacher was asking. Funny side note, I corrected my year 2 teacher when she said that it was impossible to draw 3 dots without it being a triangle. And I said, I had to argue with her and defend my position that was, actually, if you did them in a straight line, it's not a triangle. So everyone else said it's not possible. I said it is possible, and everybody was right because the teacher was wrong. Which is a theme in my life, actually. That has been a story in my life. Ask me about hairdressing college. We'll talk about that one day. Anyway, so we often will have we'll have situations that happen in our childhood where we put ourselves out there. I had a really painful experience in primary school where I had a starring role in the school play. I was like the main star, but I could not make a car noise in front of everybody. Like, as in, I had to get in the car, pretend I had to step into a cardboard box, pretend I was driving a car, and go, but I was so self-conscious I couldn't do it, and so I lost the role. They took the role off of me. They gave me 3 attempts to do it, and I didn't succeed, and so they took the role off of me, and then I became the second star of the show, like the support role. And so I was kind of devastated with that. It was really devastating to be the star and then to not be able to perform as requested, to have very little amount of time to get into line with that particular requirement, and then having the role taken from me. So what do we make that mean about ourselves? Well, I made it mean a lot of things about me, that I was a failure at, I think I was grade 3, not grade 2. So I was like 8 years old. You would think, oh yeah, but that's like way in the past. But guess what? The shame and the pain and the angst of that, unless you become conscious of it, it's still like, it's still sitting right behind you, being like, oh, don't put your head don't put your head up, don't put your hand up for that, like, don't put yourself out there. They might ask you for something that you'll look like an idiot. You might have to do something that'll make you look not like you're doing it right, and people will judge you and they'll take away from you. You'll lose it, you'll fail, and so we have all these experiences that we take meaning from, and this is the role of our ego. And so our ego wants to keep us safe. So we had that painful experience where I was the star. For example, for me, I was the starring role, and then I had the situation taken away from me. Very painful for my ego. And so my ego was like, we're not doing that again. No. The ego could have gone like, right, next time I have an opportunity, I'm going to be better and shiny and more dazzling, and I'm going to like make the most amazing sound effects ever. My ego could have gone that, but my ego didn't. My ego went the other way. My ego went like, ooh, kind of hide. But then, I do have pink hair, and I've had that since I was 15. So kind of maybe it can be expressed in different ways. But so it does get incorporated into who you are and the way you show up. And like, just imagine, even from grade 1, from prep, these experiences start to influence who we are. Let's not, we don't even need to go into like all the things that happen in high school, all the things that happen when you're at uni, all of the things that happen with your first relationship, all of the things that happen even just in your home, the way that you were parented, all of these things shape who you are and how you turn up to the opportunities that are at hand, the way that you approach your life, your dreams, your projects, your goals. I mean, if you've had a painful experience of failing, or you felt shamed for your performance or your output, your outcomes, then it creates a kind of a passive aggressive relationship with your goals. It's like, oh, I don't really need to, I don't really mind, I don't really care if it really happens, but that's kind of what I want, but I don't really want it, and that's like, where's the clarity in that? Where is like the commitment in that? How are you ever going to get anything happening when you're like, yeah, maybe, I can settle, I don't need to have it, I want that, but I don't really need to have it because I'm too scared to face the things that could go wrong. And so you have these people who are kind of like on the opposite side of that, who have always been the winners, always been like demolished the competition. And so they're really driven. Like, so if they're, for example, in the mastermind that I was in 2018, I was in a mastermind that was very expensive, massive investment, promise to the world. I was constantly told to follow the process. Process didn't work for me. I learned stuff. I did definitely grow in that journey, but it wasn't the way that I wanted. I didn't get what I had joined the program for, but I did get plenty of good stuff out of it. But the people who did really, really well were very, very driven from a competitive point of view. And so, like, that's fine. But that's like, if they're not competing and they're not shining and being like the center of attention and such, like that kind of like community dynamic, then it's kind of like, well, what's the point of doing anything? Which again, to me, it doesn't mean anything. I wouldn't say it doesn't mean anything, because obviously we all want recognition and we all want approval and all that sort of stuff. Like, that's a normal sort of thing. But as in, for me, like, I'm driven by my own purpose. I'm driven by a heartfelt desire to really like serve people on the planet, women especially on the planet, to awaken and ignite and arise and be empowered and to grow and to flourish and thrive. That's like, I'm like, and especially working with women in business, because when women really become empowered, it's like the ripples flow out through the community. It's your family, it's your lineage, it's your children, it's your schools and your communities and your teams. Women are such nurturers, and so often, historically especially, we've been conditioned to serve everybody else's needs rather than our own and put ours last. Whereas, I'm that's 50 years ago now, really. It's time for women's voices to be heard, and women's needs and passions and desires to be expressed on the planet, because, I think it's what's needed, right? So that's what I'm really passionate about. So the other thing I would just, I was also remembering or thinking about when I was, vacuuming the floor and doing all that stuff. I got my kiddo at home today, so it's like a house cleaning day. And a website thing today. Anyway, I've done lots of stuff today, but every business coach I've worked with, every single one, including all the hairdressing business coaches that I worked with, and well, most of the business coaches. There was one really dodgy guy at the very beginning who was really dodgy. But they all incorporate this mindset and self-identity work. Now, some of them just kind of like, they give it a shot. It's not really what they know, but they know it's what is needed. Like, they're trying to address that fact that, given a room of 100 people, there'll be 5 superstars who are like, razzle dazzle shine, look at me, I'm a soaring star. And they really, they do have that kind of trajectory, but they also, like, they're very driven in that way, because they're always wanting to overachieve. And then you'll have, a big chunk in the middle who basically, are anywhere from doing quite well to kind of average. And then you'll also have a percentage at the end who are just like, really struggle. And so they're trying to help people to like get their head game right, so that all that crap from your childhood and from your relationship, from the partner who told you that you couldn't do it, from the partner who told you you'd never going to amount to anyone, from the mean girls who are like told you that you're too fat, too nerdy, too whatever, too much. All of those stories that you've accumulated throughout your lifetime about why you'll never be successful, why it's never going to work for you, why you don't get to have the life that you want to live, will take you out of the game if it's not addressed. And so every single business coach I've had has always tried to include some way of helping people to get into the right mindset. Now, some of them have done it quite well, and others, like I said, it's probably more like very blunt, like very dull, like not great. But, clearly, I think at the time I also thought that I understood it more what they were talking about because of obviously all the work that I've done in personal development and energy healing and spirituality and consciousness. So, but yeah, that's what occurred to me, is that they all address the psychology, because it's probably 80% of success. That's it. Because it affects how you show up. It affects the words you tell yourself. It affects the goals that you set yourself. It affects the standards that you have for yourself and for your life and for your business. And it affects the way in which you follow through and, take action instead of just thinking or talking about it. We can think and talk about something and it makes us feel really good, but we never ever actually take that next step about doing something about it. And so it really does take a shitload of courage to go from thinking. Actually, it takes a shitload of courage to go from thinking to talking, to tell someone, I actually want to do this. And then it takes an exponential amount more of courage to go from talking about it to actually doing. Okay, and so the thing is, when you can tune in to your own purpose and you really get that this is for you, like this thing that you're thinking about, it's actually going to lead you to the greatest joy in your life, well, it becomes much easier to be courageous, right? But if you're just doing it because you need some money, or if you think it might be nice, or that you think that someone might buy it, it's probably not enough to get you out of the thinking phase. It's not enough to get you out of the talking phase. It's you really need to have a heart-centered passion, a purpose. You might not identify it as a passion, but a purpose, like a real, rock solid, this is what I need to do. This is what I was born to do. This is what everything that I've been, doing up until now is for me to do. So that's very, very much key. And 80% of your success is going to come from the games that your mind and your ego plays with you, and the amount that you are limited by the stories that you tell. Now, that is obviously my superpower, and how I help my clients to unlock the prisons of self-doubt and actually step through the fiery, the valley of darkness? The valley of darkness with fire and lava. That really uncomfortable, painful, terrifying stretch and actually taking action. It feels like a mountain when you have the right tools and you have the right support. It really is just like this. It's this. Mindset can turn a mountain into a little molehill. And that's where my superpowers come in. So if that sounds like something that would be helpful for you guys, then please send me a message. I do offer a free breakthrough session to help women who are in business. You have to be in business for at least 2 years though, so that's my boundary around it at the moment anyway. If you've been in business for 2 years and you really want help in unlocking your actual success, the dreams that you really want to take, if you feel like you've not been getting traction in your business, you've not been getting traction in towards the direction that you want to go, and you feel like you're probably selling yourself short and sabotaging yourself, then please feel free to reach out and jump on a call with me, a breakthrough session. We'll talk about what's not working, what you actually want to achieve, and what are the steps that you need to take to get you from A to B. So, and it takes about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour to do that. So, and I offer that. That's my love. And obviously, it is my love and my passion. And if you want help with it, we can also talk about what your opportunities are for working with me. So, but I know not everybody will be in the right place to be able to work with me, and not everybody's going to be suitable for working with me. And if that's the case, then I can certainly recommend other coaches or programs that might be better suited to where you're at. So that's it from me. I hope that's been interesting. Maybe has it opened up your mind about a few little things, some little stories that you might be telling yourself. I'd love to know. If there's anything that you'd like to share, please leave it in the comment below this video or send me a private message. Okay, lots of love. Bye.